Alright, number 5. We're supposed to complete the square, and this one's a little bit more difficult because we have a odd number for your b value. I'm going to add 1 on both sides. X squared plus 3x equals 1. Then I need to complete the square, so I'm going to have to use my formula. CTS, completing the square, is b over 2 squared divided by 2. But my b value is a 3. What is 3 halves squared? That's 3 halves times 3 halves. So when you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply across. You get 9/4 is your answer. Okay, so how do you factor that? Well, if you use your box, a times c is 9/4, and your b value is 3. I need 2 numbers that'll multiply to be 9/4, but the same 2 numbers add to be 3. Guess what? There's a kind of like a trick to this. The answer is already there. The answer is 3 halves. Three halves times 3 halves gives you 9/4, but 3 halves plus 3 halves gives you 6/2, which is 3. So when you factor this, you'll get x plus 3 halves and x plus 3 halves. So I put those together because I have a trinomial square. I got x plus 3 halves squared equals, okay, 1. How do you make 1 a fraction? Okay, I can't add the fractions because the denominators are not the same. So how do you make it a 4? You multiply by 4 over 4. Because you can multiply any number times 1 and it's the same. So I get 4 over 4 plus 9/4. Now when you're adding, you just add the numerators at top when the bottoms are the same. So 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 over 4 is the right side. To get rid of the power of 2, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I get plus or minus the square root of 13. And to take a radical of a fraction, you actually take the radical of both the numerator and denominator. And then over here I just have x plus 3 halves. The square root of 4 is 2. Now I'm going to subtract 3 halves. This is going to give me x is equal to negative 3 halves plus or minus radical 13 over 2. If you want to make that one super clean answer, you can have x equals negative 3 plus or minus radical 13 all over 2. That's my answer without the calculator, and then I would just put it into the calculator, negative 3 plus radical 13 divided by 2, and then negative 3 minus radical 3 over 2. So this is my exact answer. Questions? Alright, so if I put this into the fraction into the calculator, I'm going to do negative 3 plus radical 13. And I chose to use a parentheses because I'm going to show the difference between a numerator and denominator. So negative 3 plus radical 13, 2 sets of parentheses, divided by 2. And you'll get an answer. Round that to the nearest tenths. What do you get? I'm sorry, hundredths. 0.30. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Parentheses to show the numerator, the top of the fraction. Negative 3 minus. So common mistakes for calculators is that this is the negative sign and this is the subtraction sign. Radical 13. I'm going to close the parentheses, so that's just showing what's inside the radical, and this outside parentheses is just showing that it's the top of the fraction divided by 2. And if you round that to the nearest hundredths, what do you get? So these would be our two answers to the nearest hundredths. So when you're using the fraction for CTS, it looks intimidating, but you actually have all the answers in there. Okay? Just remember, when you are multiplying fractions, you multiply across tops and bottoms. When you're adding, you only add the tops, not the bottoms, or the bottoms have to be the same number. Okay?
I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you?